GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, I'm Jordan Parker. A suspicious vehicle fire erupted at a Scarborough Plaza today, and the TTC says riders are loving the dedicated World Cup lanes. Meanwhile, a heavy rain warning rolls in with minor traffic delays citywide. Over to you, Nathan.
The K-pop group IVE will perform at Scotiabank Arena this Friday night, with doors opening at 6:30 p.m. Tickets sell out quickly.
The concert includes a 20-minute opening act featuring rising Toronto artists, followed by a full set of IVE's latest singles and fan-favorite hits.
Scotiabank Arena seating capacity for the event is 12,000, with a mix of general admission floor spots and tiered balcony seats, all adhering to current health guidelines.
Lots to get to, let's begin. Good morning, Toronto.
This morning, a vehicle ignited near the intersection of Eglinton Avenue East and Kennedy Road, sending flames into a commercial plaza in Scarborough. Toronto Fire Services responded within minutes, battling the blaze as it leapt from the car onto storefronts and a parking area. Crews have contained the fire, but smoke continues to billow from the site, prompting evacuations of businesses. Toronto authorities have opened a suspicious fire investigation, saying evidence suggests the fire may have been set intentionally. Police are canvassing the neighborhood for witnesses and reviewing nearby surveillance footage. The plaza, which includes a grocery market and a pharmacy, was temporarily shut down as firefighters continued to cool hot spots. Eglinton Avenue East was partially closed while crews worked to protect nearby residences. The incident remains active, with investigators and fire officials working to determine the cause and secure the area. No injuries have been reported so far.
Mayors across the Greater Toronto Area are convening with officials from the White House to draft emergency measures aimed at shielding local firms from a wave of new United States tariffs. The administration in Washington has signaled that higher duties on Canadian imports could hit manufacturers, agricultural producers, and technology exporters, prompting regional leaders to act before the rules take effect. Ontario's municipal heads say they will explore coordinated lobbying, rapid response financial support, and expedited customs assistance to keep supply chains intact. The proposed strategy includes a joint communication plan to alert businesses of upcoming changes and to seek relief through existing trade agreement mechanisms. If successful, the effort could blunt economic fallout and preserve jobs throughout the 6-municipality region. Officials expect to present a formal proposal to federal partners within the coming weeks.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford has instructed members of provincial parliament that they may now apply the existing hotel allowance to cover overnight stays when the legislature convenes after dark. The guidance, issued this month from the government's downtown Toronto offices, aims to keep legislators in the city for night sittings rather than sending them home to their ridings. Officials say the change will streamline expenses and reduce travel time, allowing a smoother legislative process. It arrives amid a week of heightened public scrutiny after reports surfaced that some MPPs were billing taxpayer-funded hotel rooms while still commuting to Queen's Park for daytime business. The province says the policy is intended to address those concerns while maintaining the integrity of the expense system. The directive remains in effect as the legislature continues its evening schedule.
The TTC released a report this morning showing that during the 6 World Cup match days, rider satisfaction climbed sharply, safety scores improved, and service on contested priority transit lanes ran faster and more reliably. The study presented by TTC CEO said the dedicated lanes, which were open to handle the surge of fans, delivered the highest customer experience marks the agency has recorded for a single event. Officials highlighted the data as a template for boosting everyday service across the network, noting that the same lane management tactics could shave travel time for commuters citywide. The findings come as Toronto wraps up its role as a World Cup host, and the Commission plans to review the results with planners as it refines its long-term transit strategy in the coming months.
New research released today reveals that Ontario's construction sector bears a disproportionate share of the province's opioid mortality. The analysis, covering deaths from 2018 through 2024, where the decedent's occupation was recorded, found that more than one-third of opioid-related fatalities involved workers identified as construction laborers. That share translates to roughly 1 in 3 such deaths, far exceeding the representation of any other trade in the dataset. Ontario recorded over 20,000 opioid deaths during that 6-year span, illustrating the broader scale of the epidemic. Officials noted that the opioid crisis has touched many occupations, but the physical demands and injury rates in construction may drive higher prescription and illicit use. Public health experts say the findings underscore the need for targeted prevention and treatment resources within the building trade, even as overall overdose numbers continue to strain Ontario's health system.
Later, we'll hear how former NFL star Marshawn Lynch will join the Hockey Diversity Alliance Summerfest. Plus more, we will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. Here, what you need to know before you head out, and now Nathan Cole with the local stories you care about.
Former NFL running back Marshawn Lynch is set to join the Hockey Diversity Alliance at its Youth Summer Fest in Toronto next weekend. The 3-day event, running from July 24 to 26, will feature clinics, games, and music aimed at making hockey more welcoming for kids from all backgrounds. Lynch, known for his outspoken personality on the football field, will appear as a special guest, bringing a football flair to the ice-side activities. Organizers say his presence adds a cross-sport draw that could inspire young athletes who may not see themselves in traditional hockey circles. The festival takes place at the city's community centers and local rinks, offering families free entry and a chance to try new skills. With schools on summer break, the timing gives children an active, inclusive option for weekend recreation.
Police announced today that 2 men alleged to belong to the MS-13 gang were arrested and charged in a human trafficking case that has been under investigation since last year. Peel Regional Police executed 4 search warrants, splitting teams between Mississauga and Collingwood. The raids were coordinated with the Ontario Provincial Police and the Correctional Service of Canada, marking the first joint provincial-federal action in the probe. Both suspects now face multiple trafficking charges. Authorities said the operation stems from a broader inquiry that began in 2025, targeting an organized network that exploited vulnerable individuals. The arrests send a clear signal that law enforcement agencies are intensifying efforts to disrupt transnational criminal groups operating in the region. Authorities warned residents to remain vigilant. The collaborative approach shows agencies are working together across municipal boundaries.
Ontario's Ministry of Natural Resources confirmed an unprecedented forest fire outbreak this morning, with 177 active blazes burning across the northern region. 12 of those ignitions were reported within the last 24 hours, adding to an already extensive list of hotspots. Fire crews are actively engaged on the ground, while aerial resources have been deployed to assess containment prospects. The sheer scale of the blaze has prompted provincial officials to issue ongoing updates as conditions evolve. Emergency operations centers have been activated to coordinate response across municipal boundaries, and local authorities are reviewing evacuation protocols for communities at risk. Residents in the south, including the Greater Toronto Area, are being advised to stay informed about potential air quality advisories and travel disruptions that can arise from large-scale smoke movement. The ministry will continue to release information as the situation develops throughout the day.
Heavy rain and fierce wind gusts battered Toronto Tuesday as a severe thunderstorm warning took effect across the city and much of southern Ontario. Meteorologists had warned that an incoming storm system would dump intense precipitation and generate damaging winds, and the forecast proved accurate. Streets swelled with standing water, prompting traffic slowdowns on major arteries and prompting commuters to seek alternate routes. Several neighborhoods reported localized flooding near low-lying areas, while power crews responded to brief outages caused by down lines. The storm's sudden intensity also forced schools to delay dismissal and prompted a handful of outdoor events to pause. Residents were reminded to secure loose items and avoid unnecessary travel while conditions persisted. By evening, the rain eased, leaving wet sidewalks and a reminder of the rapid shift that summer storms can bring.
Yesterday, the Midwest Toronto, Ontario Health Team rolled out 2 new programs designed to expand primary care access and boost equity in the health system. CBC reporter Tyler Cheese reported that the initiatives have already linked 15,000 Torontonians with a family doctor or specialist, aiming to close long-standing gaps in primary care availability. The programs focus on streamlined enrollment, extended clinic hours, and mobile health units that bring services into neighborhoods where appointments have been scarce. Health officials say the effort builds on a city-wide push to make routine care more reachable for everyone, especially for residents who have struggled to secure a regular provider. By connecting a larger share of the population to consistent medical oversight, the team hopes to reduce emergency visits and improve overall community health outcomes locally.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what this afternoon's weather has in store.
A western jet surge and rising pressure are forcing dry, stable air into Toronto this afternoon. On this date, the all-time high reached 35.5 degrees Celsius in 2016, a blistering spike that rode a lingering heat dome across the Great Lakes. The all-time low of 15.3 degrees Celsius fell in 2015, when an Arctic dip squeezed southward under a stubborn high-pressure ridge. Normal highs hover around 22 degrees and lows near 13. So today's expected 19 to 11 degrees feels noticeably cooler than the climatological average. The live radar screen shows a pristine return across the entire province. No precipitation echoes back from the north, the east, or the lake effect corridors. With the jet stream sprinting west at roughly 100 kilometers per hour, any moisture would be sheared away before reaching the city. The dry, stable air mass confirmed by the quiet radar will linger through the evening, clearing the sky completely by sunset. At noon, the temperature sits at 17 degrees with a clear sky and a western wind gusting up to 42 kilometers per hour. Pressure is high and slowly rising, reinforcing the subsidence that suppresses cloud development. The jet overhead continues to stream westward, capping any ascent that could generate rain. Temperatures will climb to a modest high of 19 degrees by mid-afternoon before easing to 18 as the sun sets at 8:51. The UV index reads 4. Winds remain steady at 27 kilometers per hour from the west, feeling brisk but manageable. No weather alerts are active. Looking ahead, Thursday mirrors today with a high of 19 degrees, low of 11, and clear skies under the same high-pressure regime. Friday warms noticeably as the ridge intensifies, pushing daytime highs to 25 degrees and lows to 15, still clear. Saturday, the pattern loosens, inviting overcast conditions and a high of 27 with a low of 20, marking the first cloud cover of the stretch. Sunday remains mostly clear, high 27, low 20, though a 20% chance of rain hints at a weak disturbance from the west. Monday turns markedly wetter. Overcast skies dominate with a 55% rain probability, high 26 and low 20 as a low-pressure trough slides in. The 5-day sequence showcases a gradual warm-up, a brief cloud-free spell, then a return to rain-laden conditions. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Up next, traffic snarls from lane closures, tonight's IVE concert at Scotiabank Arena, and a Cabbagetown Bistro story. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Gardiner Expressway remains under rehabilitation, keeping the westbound lane closed between the Don Valley Parkway and the Prince Edward Viaduct. Traffic is diverting onto the Allen Road and the Lakeshore Road corridor, adding roughly 10 minutes to trips heading downtown. On Parliament Street, minor lane closures stretch from Distillery Lane to the railway tracks, slowing northbound flow but leaving the southbound lanes clear. Eastbound Lakeshore Boulevard between Ontario Drive and Strachan Avenue is restricted for event pickup and drop-off, causing a short queue near the waterfront. Aside from those hotspots, most arterial routes, including the Don Valley Parkway and the Queensway, are moving freely. The TTC's Bloor-Danforth line will close early this evening from Jane to Ossington, so there is no impact on this morning's subway service. Expect the afternoon to stay steady, though drivers should monitor the Gardiner corridor for any new updates.
IVE takes over Scotiabank Arena tonight with their Show What I Am World Tour, delivering the kind of high-octane K-pop spectacle that turns a concert into a visual marathon, perfect for anyone craving a night of dance floor energy and flawless choreography. The Toronto International Film Festival is lighting up the city right now with a Canada-focused gala and special presentations, putting homegrown stories front and center and giving local filmmakers a global stage. This week's lineup includes the closing night gala Villeneuve, The Rise of a Legend, plus major Canadian premieres that showcase the diversity of our cinematic voice. In addition, TIFF has just announced fresh slate highlights, a Margaret Qualley romance and a Mahershala Ali action thriller, giving movie lovers new titles to mark on their watch list. All three events are happening now, so whether you're heading out for a pop concert, a film marathon, or both, the cultural buzz in Toronto is impossible to ignore. And now here's Marcus with sports.
Here's the latest on Toronto's teams and a special community event. The Hockey Diversity Alliance is injecting football flair into its Youth Summer Fest in Toronto this weekend, with former NFL running back Marshawn Lynch slated as a special guest. Organizers say the crossover aims to broaden participation and celebrate diverse pathways into hockey. The Toronto Raptors are fine-tuning the outer edges of their roster as the league watches pending decisions on Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James. Sources note the club is evaluating depth options and potential call-ups while maintaining flexibility ahead of the upcoming season. The Toronto Maple Leafs added Swedish defenseman Emil André on a 2-year deal, reported at $3.1 million. The club announced the signing on Saturday, emphasizing the young Blue Liners' potential to reinforce defensive depth as the new season approaches.
Cabbageddon Bistro, tucked on Church Street in the heart of Cabbagetown, has been feeding locals with comfort food and community spirit for a year. As the kitchen prepares for its first anniversary, the owners received an eviction notice that could shut its doors before the celebration. The bistro's open mic nights, locally sourced menu, and after-work patio have turned it into a gathering spot for families, artists, and young workers. Neighbors worry that losing the space would erase a place where strangers become friends over a shared plate. Local activists have already started a petition, and dozens of regulars have pledged to fill every table until a solution is found. That's why Cabbagetown needs this bistro. It's more than a restaurant, it's the neighborhood's living room. Stay tuned for a heartwarming look at the Cabbagetown Bistro, fighting eviction just as it prepares to toast its first anniversary.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From City Hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on gmna for the local Sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
Toronto launches a celebration as the countdown hits 100 days to the 2026 FIFA World Cup, with festivals and matches lighting up Fort York National Historic Site and the Bentway. Officials say events will feature talent, food trucks, and soccer zones for families and fans. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, Jordan Parker. I'm standing on the grassy promenade of Fort York National Historic Site, the stone red brick walls of the old fort rising behind me while the sleek curved arches of the Bentway frame a bustling crowd. The air hums with the beat of a drum circle, and the scent of sizzling sauté and fresh maple glazed poutine mingles with spicy tacos from a nearby vendor. Families wave flags from Brazil, Japan, and Canada, and a local school choir sings a mashup of World Cup anthems as former Toronto FC striker Dwayne De Rosario signs autographs for a line of eager kids. Above us a banner stretches across the sky reading 100 Days to the FIFA World Cup 2026, reminding everyone that Toronto will host 6 matches, including the historic first men's match on June 12. The celebration turns the historic neighborhood into a global village, proving sport can unite cultures in a single heartbeat. Carl Dumont, virtually at Fort York National Historic Site and the Bentway.
On an October morning at the edge of the Rouge Valley, a handful of Ontario Fire Rangers gathered beside a fire watch tower, their orange jackets bright against amber leaves. The group included veteran Ranger Maya Singh, who has logged more than 15 fire seasons, and a new cohort of 20-something recruits from across the Greater Toronto area, many answering a recent community-led scholarship program. That program began last winter when a citywide fundraiser raised enough money to create a mentorship stipend, directly addressing the staffing and pay concerns flagged in a 6-year-old report. As the sun lifted, Maya handed a badge to rookie Alex Chen, whose eyes widened at the weight of the medal and the promise it held for protecting the province's forests. The moment captured a city that refused to let its firefighters go unheard. Neighbors turned volunteers, local businesses donated equipment, and the ministry approved a wage boost that finally brought ranger salaries in line with comparable emergency roles. Tonight those new rangers will patrol the canopy, confident the community stands behind them. Our forests are safer because we all chose to stand together.
In the heart of downtown Toronto, just a few blocks from the bustling Eaton Centre, the historic courthouse steps were filled with a quiet buzz as former police officer Derek McCormick faced the community that had watched his career unfold. Family members, local business owners, and a handful of senior officers gathered, not to protest, but to witness a moment of accountability that has long been promised in the wake of Project South. When McCormick rose to speak, his voice trembled just enough to reveal the weight of the two charges he was pleading guilty to, charges that stemmed from the deep-seated investigation into alleged corruption and organized crime ties within the Toronto Police Service. He described, in his own words, the misguided choices that led him down a path far from the badge's oath, and he offered a sincere apology to the neighbors who had trusted him for years. The courtroom fell silent as the judge pronounced a sentence that included community service and restitution, a decision that sent a clear signal. The city's commitment to transparency will not be compromised. As the crowd filed out, a young officer from the new anti-corruption unit placed a hand on McCormick's shoulder, a simple gesture that reminded everyone that healing begins with honesty. In a city that values its diversity and its duty to each other, today's resolution is a quiet affirmation that trust can be rebuilt, one sincere step at a time.
Thank you, Toronto, for joining us on the lunch break. Tonight's look at the suspicious vehicle fire at the Scarborough Plaza reminded us how quickly a spark can change a neighborhood. We appreciate your trust, and we'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to our city.